Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. We are so back, baby. It is the best time of the fantasy year. We're about a week and a half away by the sounds of it. We haven't got too much fantasy content from the providers, but they're saying mid-January. I'm going to roll with it. Hopefully that means the 15th or the 16th. Yeah, that's what I'm prepared for. I'm super excited for it. Yeah, we're back. If you're new around here, my rank last season was 251st, so not a bad one by any means. I'm pretty happy with that. But we're on to a new season. Everyone starts fresh. Everyone starts with the same rank, so it means absolutely nothing. Thanks for joining. I just wanted to talk quickly about the content plans for this year. If you want to jump ahead, I'll leave timestamps and everything like that. It's just going to be a quick little ramble about what to expect this year. It will pretty much be the same. Hopefully the product's a little bit better for you guys. Like I've been working on a few graphics, things like that in the off season. It's still not perfect. I'm still relatively new to the YouTube scene, but I'm going to try my best to deliver something a little bit better than last season. But in terms of the specific content, you shouldn't expect too many changes. I've got a little bit of a planner here. Tuesday, Wednesday would ordinarily be my buys, hold, sells, avoids video that you see from pretty much every other fantasy content creator on the planet. It will still involve that heavily, but it's going to be more of like a talk show aspect, I guess. Like if you watch FPL, FPL Mate, FPL Harry, FPL Focal, I think they're the ones. They do like talk shows. Talk shows a bit of a loose term, but it's going to be more than just the buys, hold, sells. I'm going to be running some Q&As so you guys can get your specific questions, maybe team specific question, player specifics. I'll run through captaincy options, who I'm going to loop that week. If I recommend you guys use 1, 2, 0 trades, things like that. It's going to be more an in-depth thing as opposed to just the players that I do like. Last season, if you did watch, I would probably do 30 or 40 players each week. And it gets a lot like for you guys to consume and for me to prepare. So I think doing it that way will be a little bit better. But yeah, it's similar. It'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially even a Thursday. That is probably the best day that I have off in terms of actually being able to do YouTube, but I want it a little bit earlier so you guys have a little bit more time to prepare. So that's the rolling plan. Wednesday, Thursday will be my specific team trade plans, maybe some last minute questions, thoughts going into the round. Then Friday to Monday, these ones won't be heavy on the graphics. It will probably just be sitting in front of a computer running through things I saw in a game, how my round's looking, things like that. We go into what's the site called? Gosh, it's been a while. Whatever the one is, yeah, you can see like the top 1,000 stats. Yeah, cannot remember off the top of my head. I should probably know that soon. Yeah, we'll be talking about game day recaps, players that caught my eye, and then Monday we'll have the round recap, or potentially even a Sunday night, depending on when the round ends. Yeah, that's a similar sort of layout to last season. In terms of the off-season, pre-season, I guess now, it's going to be a little bit sporadic. I don't have a plan for it. I've got a few videos already in the loop. There'll be one based on like the top 10 teams analysis. I've already run through all the data, things I noticed, how I'm going to improve my game this year. Going to piggyback off that really. So that will be my next video, I would assume. Then I've got a way more niche one probably after that. And then, yeah, when the game comes out, I'll do like my first draft, first eyes on the new app, things like that. If there's any rule changes, which I hope there is, hopefully some more prize money. Yeah, like it'll be sort of give or take, probably 3 or 4 videos a week, just randomly sporadic across the preseason. And then I'll get all like the players to watch, similar to this video, but way longer. Teams analysis, all that sort of jazz that you'd probably expect from your content creators. That's about all of my content thoughts. You may notice the little X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook logos here. We are going to run some social media. I'm going to get them running after this. On X, it'll just be NRL Fantasy files. Haven't got any posts yet, but they will be coming. You'll probably see like snippets from in the videos, maybe some other players to watch, things like that. And in terms of Facebook, I'll be starting a Facebook group. If you want to join that, I'll leave both the links in the description. I want to sort of build a sense of community this season, so hopefully we can grow that Facebook group. We'll get some leagues going. That's where I want you guys to answer your Q&As. We'll have some game day threads, things like that. Build more of a community outside of the YouTube base. But that's about it from me for the moment. We're aiming for 1,000 subs before the season starts. Hopefully that's somewhat realistic if you guys are enjoying the product. But yeah, let's get into it. First video of 2026. God, I am rusty. I cannot tell you how many times I tried to film this, but let's just get right off, hey? So I wanted to talk about just a few players that some are going to be really popular, some maybe not so much, but have already caught my eye as potential pickups this season or potential avoids already. I've only got 12 players in this video. The longer videos will come. I sort of just wanted to test out the graphics in this one more than anything, see how it looks. So I'd love your guys' feedback if you are enjoying these graphics, because in the preseason, I wanted to sort of build a template that I can use for every single week's video in like the weekly recap video. So if you don't enjoy it, let me know ASAP, because otherwise you're going to keep seeing it. Yeah, first off the bat, I just wanted to talk about the captain's choices. NRL.com have released a couple of fantasy prices so far. They're a little bit sporadic. I'm hearing, I can't remember where I saw it, but I think Nathan Cleary is going to be like 960k, which is higher than he should be. But then there's other guys like cheapies like Jonah Pezzett. Kalen Ponga's not a cheapie, but he's like listed at 600k, Pezzett at 400k or 350 or something like that. But the prices are just really sporadic and they're not really going off where they were last season. I know Ponga had a few injuries. I guess Cleary had that one game where he got injured or concussed in the first 15 minutes. But there doesn't seem to be much rhyme or reason as we usually see for prices. But it seems to me, what I'm thinking at the moment is it's going to be really hard to build a good team if you have two or more of these guys. Ordinarily, you could probably fit in two, and it still may be the case. Well, it's all just a guessing game until the season starts. But I think prices are actually going to be quite high this season. They don't really want to. It looks like they don't really want to give like basement price for guys who probably do deserve it, like your Pezzets. So we'll see, like if they're going to be mucking about with the pricing, I don't think it's going to favour us too much. And I don't mind it by any means, but just in terms of your captain choices, when I prepared this video, I was actually leaning towards getting two of these guys, but I don't know if it's going to be possible now. Again, we're all just guessing until it starts. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about which one of these three I would prefer. We saw Payne Haas last season had the most scores of 70 plus out of these three. Terrell May had more, but in more games. Payne Haas had a better percentage of 70 plus games, which is what you want from your captain, especially if you're spending 900k on them. I don't know who I'm going to go with out of him or Cleary. Haas is going to miss the most games. 3 for Terrell May, assuming he doesn't make Origin. But yeah, I just don't know what to do at this stage. I'm leaning towards Haas or Cleary. If you look at Haas, he has the best strike rate for 70 plus games, but he is an easy sell over the bye period as he misses 5 games from round 12 to 15. So if you don't start with him, it's going to be super awkward to bring him in. You probably only have the luxury of bringing him in before maybe round 4 or 5, and then that gives you about 7-8 weeks leeway before offloading him. It's a bit awkward. I know I did it last year with Isaiah Yeo. I think I bought him in round 5 or 6, and that was purely because that was going to be the last round. I could justify it before, like, to have some real runway before I sold him off. And it's going to be so awkward to bring a guy like Haas in at 900k or whatever he may be, probably even higher than that. So I think if you want Haas before round 19, you probably have to start with him. The main concern for me is the offloading. He really had a big boost last season. Let's have a look here. Last season, he averaged 3 offloads a game. I believe it was, 1.6 the year before, 1.9, 0.9, no, 1.1, sorry, and 2.1. I'm already looking in the wrong place. Good start. It's jumped up by about 1 over his previous seasons. I don't know if we're going to expect him to getting 3. I haven't been able to collate the data, but it did seem like there was a real push for offloads last season across the whole entire league. We saw guys like Herbie Farnworth, Jacob Carraz, Greg Marzu all like boost their offloads by a significant amount. So I do suspect that potentially the offloads are real. I'd say 2.6 at minimum. He's not going to be value. He didn't really have any games where he was injured last season. Like his low was 49. So yeah, I would expect at best, you're getting a 73.7 average, but you're not looking to make money from these guys. So I would want him before round 19, so I'll probably start with him just on that basis. But if that means I'm missing out on Cleary, I just don't know if I can do it. It all depends on where they're priced at as well. Like if Cleary's the most expensive, then I think Haas is the clear best option. But I don't know, like it's all a guessing game at the moment. I do lean towards Haas at the moment. Also, I was going to touch on this in the next slide, but I guess it's come to me now. There's a proposed rule change for the NRL where they're going to increase the interchange bench from 17 to 19 men. And I do think that's actually going to have a significant impact on middle forwards and forwards in general, but specifically middle forwards, like your props and locks. Pretty much every team, if that gets approved, will run a 4-forward bench and probably 2 backs on as well. So those minutes are going to be split. You don't really have the upside of a guy getting injured, a forward getting injured early in the game, or HIA, where you're going to get a significant boost because they have 4 forwards to cover you. I don't know off the top of my head. I assume it's going to be increased interchanges as well, maybe 8 to 10, but maybe I'm just making that up. But yeah, I feel like if there is 19 man teams and 6 on the bench, those real cash cow forwards in fantasy and middle range forwards, it might be the death of them, to be honest. So I think starting with a guy like Haas, when it may be more difficult to pick up value middle forward, sorry, I think it might actually be the way to go. So yeah, at this stage, I would lean towards Haas over the other two. There's always going to be a ton of halves that we can get. I know last season, I stupidly started with Jamal Fogarty because he played Vegas. That wasn't why, but since he played Vegas, I couldn't shuffle my team around like across the next 5 days, like when the next game is. And if I hadn't started with him, I absolutely would have got Haas, because when I was looking at my team construction, I had no depth in my middle forwards, but I had like 7 halves in the end. So it's usually super easy to get halves, not so much middle forward value at the moment at the start of the season. And I think especially if that rule change does get approved, it's going to be a big boost to Haas, because like his minutes aren't going anywhere, right? If you're a 60-plus minute forward, they're going to use you for 60-plus minutes. I don't have any doubts about that. It's just those guys who are playing 30, 40, if not less minutes. There's no real upside for them anywhere. So yeah, Haas would be the captain choice I would be leaning towards at this stage. Again, super early. We've got 2 months to mess about, but if you ask me right now, I'm probably starting with Haas. In terms of Terrell May, he had a corker of a season last year and still didn't play Origin, so I think Origin's out of the question. He does have the highest floor if he is going to play 70-plus minutes every game. Let's have a look at him last season. He did have a real bad back end of the season. Not bad. In terms of fantasy, he was okay. He was pretty decent, but those minutes started to fall off a little bit. I mean, I guess he played 65, 64, and 65 at the start of the season, but yeah, you see a lot of 80 minutes, 75 minutes in there, and then it starts to die off at like round 16 onwards, like 68, 68, 63, and then low 70s again. But you could see a little bit of real life burnout. Maybe it didn't eventuate in fantasy. Like, he was still fine. It was a couple of months ago. My knowledge isn't the best of week to week, but yeah, you could see he wasn't the same player at the end of the season as he was at the start. I don't know if Benji's going to learn from that and maybe not play him for 80 minutes, 70 plus minutes every game. I still think it's likely he will, but you want certainty out of your captains. And I know we have the offloading issue potentially with Haas. I don't think it's an issue. It's just something to think about. That's the only real question mark with him. Terrell May, if he's only playing 65 minutes, that's a significant boost. His PPM is huge. It's, what is it? I can't see. 1.01 last season. If he's playing 5 less minutes, that's already 5 less points, which is going to hurt your captaincy choice. He also does have that round 1 bye. And generally, I'm not opposed to round 1 buys by any means. I started with Jaden Campbell last season because he was clearly value. I do actually think it's worthwhile having an early buy because you have the most depth in your team. You don't know who's going to be better. So having a loop option is actually incredibly undervalued. And I do opt to go that way generally. But spending 900K on a loop option is probably not worth it. So yeah, in all likelihood, he's going to be a 70-plus player. He is the worst of the 3 in my eyes, even though he averaged the most, just in terms of 2026. There's no real chance I start with him at this stage, especially if we're only fitting one of these guys in. So, yeah, it was fun last season when he was 300k undervalued, but that's not the case this season. He should be the highest paid. Actually, Haas averaged a little bit more, I think. That's why he's second. Yeah, he's going to be one of the most expensive players, and I just don't think I can do it this season. I'll still be looking to get him in early. Like, he doesn't have that issue. If he didn't play Origin last year, I can't see why he would this season. So it's a lot less awkward, and you can more easily pick him up earlier in the season in your round 4s, 5s, anywhere up to the bye rounds, really. And yeah, it'll be a matter of getting him in sooner rather than later, but to start the season, probably not for me, I don't think. Nathan Cleary, I don't think it's egregious to say he has the highest ceiling of the three. He had 115 last season. At his peak, he averaged 90, which none of these guys have come close to. No one else in fantasy has come close to, apart from maybe Tommy Turbo. But yeah, his ceiling's huge. He has 140 scores, countless 100 pluses, but possibly the lowest floor. He didn't have too many shocking games last season, but even like a 50-55 isn't great for a captain, and he did have a few of those. He obviously had that 5 where I captain him, woohoo. But no, he actually didn't have that many. He had a 53, 56, 56, but a lot of 60s there. And he does have a few niggling injuries that he does pick up. He did have that HIA. I don't know. There's no real question marks about him. The team obviously isn't at their best. Like, the Panthers aren't at their strongest where they were. And when they were at the most dominant, that is when Nathan Cleary averaged 90 in fantasy. I don't think it matters too much. Like, in 70-plus minute games, he still averaged 72.8. Like, there's no real question marks about his performance. I do just think... I don't know what I think. It's between him and Haas. But if they're pricing Cleary at 960k, I mean, is that going to be more than Haas? And yeah, there's no way I'm starting with him over Haas if that's the case. I don't know. We'll see what our team constructions look like. If I'm going to have another 6 or 7 halves, then damn it. I'm not going to... Like, I will probably lean towards Haas, but I don't know. At this stage, it's a coin flip between Haas and Cleary, but I think I would lean towards Haas at the moment. That's all I got in that one. I don't even know what's going on here. I'm so out of practice. And then the next 3 are going to be our pod keepers. So it's a bit hard to determine whether guys are going to be points of differences at this stage. Most players who are this expensive are going to have 15-20% ownership regardless. These are 3 guys that I think maybe are going to be slightly undervalued this season, where they might be a little bit overlooked as well. Aaron Clark, for example, averaged 57.7 last season. He's not going to get dual this year, so that's one negative for him. But when he played 50-plus minutes, he averaged 62. It was either 50 or 60-plus minutes. He averaged 62. And we're expecting that to be his role, right? Like, the Warriors didn't really sign anyone. They lost a couple of fringe forwards like Bunty Ofoa and things like that. But I can't really see his minutes going down. They were a massive question mark last season when we were all thinking about bringing him in. We were all concerned about James Fisher-Harris, but we saw them coexist together. Aaron Clark was absolutely their best player last season. There's no real world where he doesn't play at least 60 minutes, probably closer to 70, hopefully most nights. People are going to look at the 57.7. They're going to look at his price tag and think, there's no way I start with that guy. Whereas I actually think he is decent value. Like, he probably has 5 points of upside, and spend, like, is that too thin value when he does have minutes question marks? I'm not sure, but you're not really looking to make cash at this price point. Last season, I started with guys like Preston, Jaden Campbell, who probably had about the same upside. They certainly had their question marks as well. I wasn't sure Preston was going to be an 80-minute guy. We didn't have too much historical data on Jaden Campbell, and they both worked out pretty well. I can't see why Aaron Clark isn't going to be that. Again, I think forwards are going to be really hard to come by in terms of value. So getting a guy like Aaron Clark, especially if we can't fit in 2 of those captain choices, if money is a little bit tight, he's just a little bit of a tier below that. He's not a captain choice, obviously, and it is a lot to spend on someone who's not your captain, but we do spend this a lot. Like, we get guys like Isaiah Yeo, James Tedesco's, Jamal Fogarty's at this price point every season, and they're not value. You're just paying what you get for them. And if that is the case for Aaron Clark, I'm actually totally comfortable with that. He doesn't play Origin, obviously. They have a really good buy schedule. So yeah, he's actually one I'm heavily considering if we can get the money to work. If it doesn't work out, like, he's not one I'm going to be super disappointed not to get, but I actually think he's going to be seriously undervalued and seriously under-owned. He probably has like a little bit of a boost in the casual market just with like the Warriors fans getting on him, but in terms of your serious players, I think he will be quite overlooked, and I'm actually pretty excited to start with him if things go that way. Isaiah Katoa, it's hilarious that I'm willing to pay 55.5 for him potentially this season, when last season I had no real interest in him at all. Well, I did have interest, but I just couldn't pull the trigger. Him and Herbie were my killers. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, it was just the lack of historical data. We've now seen a whole season of it, and he's a young pup. He's maybe, 22 years old. He's going to have that career incline in terms of his real life performance, which probably translates pretty well to fantasy. The last 2 seasons, I believe he's boosted. Let's skip over Aaron Clark for a little bit. Let's see, 2023, he averaged 28.1, then 41.3, then 55.5. That is an incredible incline. We're obviously not going to get another 15-point boost, but if he gets 5 on that, that's huge value at this stage of the season for a price tag like that. The reason I do like him, obviously that youth, he has shown he can progress each season, but also the team is going to be a lot better, a lot healthier this season. They're a fringe top 8 team like they have been the last couple of seasons. Herbie's going to be fit to start the season, sorry. They get a lot of their middle pack back. The main reason I didn't want to pick him up last season is because they were missing like something ridiculous, like 8 forwards. And I just could see the Dolphins were going to decline off the back of that. And he's very much a momentum guy. So if they're starting to get blown out, if they're not going to be as attacking, if they're going to be tired late in games, he's not going to get those attacking stats. And we really did see it die off towards the end of the season. It did coincide with Herbie Farnworth getting injured. If you filter by Herbie here, he averaged 57.8 with Herbie and then 46.8 without him. At the back end of the season, the best guys in fantasy were the attacking players, which, like, we saw Reece Walsh go absolutely bananas. Gosh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I ended up picking up the guys like Carrigan over him, and I really identified that the attacking players were the best ones because they were all dominating. Tommy Turbo as well. Yeah, again, I can't think off the top of my head, but you would have really expected him in ordinary circumstances to have that lift at the end of the season. But I think that fatigue did really get to him, get to the Dolphins, but they're not going to have that to start the season. So I would be surprised if he didn't average at least 55.5. I could easily see him as a 60-point guy. The main concern with him is not a concern, but he doesn't goal kick. So I don't know where that ceiling is. It's rare for a premium half to not goal kick. I know guys like Munster haven't, and not really much in-play kicking, but that's the only real asterisk on him, like in terms of his upside. If he goal kicked, he'd potentially be a 70-point player with how many tries the Dolphins score. But he does everything else. He has a low missed tackle rate. He gets involved in tackles, like defense. He dominates like 90% of the Dolphins kicking in play, involved in a large amount of try assists, things like that. He's involved in pretty much every category that's not goal kicking. I want to see how many turnover tackles he had last season because it felt like a lot. 0.5. Like, maybe that is also a negative. I don't know if that continues. I just remember seeing it. He would get like 2 at the start of the game, and I would just be so annoyed because it would like ruin me watching the Dolphins. And then Herbie would score like 40 points in 2 plays, but yeah, that's beside the point. Maybe that comes down a little bit, but there's no real question marks on him, and I think he could easily average 60 plus. Again, there might be an influx of halves, as there usually is, which means he's just not going to fit in our team, but I am really excited to start with him if things go well. Tino, I would expect him to have the highest ownership of these 3. I do think he'll be sort of pottish. It's pretty thin value, and I'm not as sure over him as the other guys. The minutes are the real upside here. Oh golly, what have I done? There we go. Sorry, I'm still getting used to this software. Yeah, the minutes are the upside. He had a few games off the bench, a few games coming back from injury. Start of the season, he was only playing. He played a couple of like mid 50-minute games, but 50 plus minutes, he averages 57, and it priced at 52.5. That could be some good value at that price point. Again, it might be a little bit too thin if you do have value from the other guys, but I think any value at that price point is going to be good. Looking at how they're dropping fantasy point, like in the fantasy player prices they're dropping, I don't know if he will actually be listed at a 52.5 average. If he's at about 55, I probably won't do it. But yeah, 52.5, I think there is some thin value. I'm expecting him to play 50 plus minutes every game. That's no real concern. He does play Origin as well, but it only means he misses one extra game. So no real concerns there. Oh, what have I done? There we go. Let's go forward, not backwards, hey. Let's see. Have I covered all of that? Yeah. Aaron Clark, it was 62 in 50-plus minute games. But yeah, let's actually have a look at him. I didn't touch on him too much on footy statistics. Let's have a look. 50-plus minute games in 2025. Yeah, 62 and 62.4 minutes. He's always had that PPM as well. Let's cut off the minutes here. It is always around that 1 mark, 0.93, 0.83, 0.69, but they've generally been in less minutes. At lock, it was even higher. I do remember looking at this when we were all eager to get him in. 0.99, I guess, so that's fine. The main concern is PPM usually drops the more minutes you play. Is it sustainable over a full season in that bigger role? I'd lean towards yes. It's just the question mark over the minutes. Yeah, pretty much touched on all of this as well. So I think we are all good to move on to the next slide. Underpriced keepers. There's one I'm very excited about here. Ponga will be super highly owned. He's coming in at 600k, I believe. So he's just one I had to touch on really, but he's going to be super popular. He'll probably have 35-40% ownership. For feeder, we'll see where he's priced at. I can't imagine he's going to be priced at 36.3. If he is, most people will jump on him despite the risks. But it's really Jerome Hughes that I am ultra excited for here. Let's have a look at what I've got. Yeah, so he's likely to be underpriced due to injury-affected games. If we head over here again, let's go back to Jerome Hughes. He had a few games where he did pick up injuries. It was very annoying to end the season. He was absolutely on fire, and then he picked up that injury when his ownership was only about 50%, I think. But in 70-plus minutes, he averaged 52, which is super strong. He does have that pedigree. He averaged 60.4 the season before. To be fair, it was his Dally M season, so are we expecting those heights? Probably not. But you could really see at the back end of last season, he did start to pick up that form again. It was really here where it turned. That was the week I was so close to bringing him in, and I just couldn't pull the trigger, and then I brought him in the next week, and he was still elite up until then. If it's priced at 45.8, it's an absolute no-brainer for me. He will be the first in my team. Again, the way the player prices are dropping, I don't think he will be. I think he'll be close to that 50-point mark. It is thin value based on what he produced last season, but he does have that upside, the pedigree. I'm not alluding to the fact he's going to be a 60-point guy, but if you can get someone under 50, at an under 50 price point, who's going to average 55 most likely, you got to do it every day of the week. The concern is no Eli Katoa for me. Will they go to the left a little bit more? They had such a powerful combination. I don't know who's going to pick up that edge spot. Is it Joe Chan? Probably not. They probably have someone that I'm forgetting. I don't know who it's going to be. Hopefully it's someone serviceable, a try-scoring threat, so Hughes's try assists don't go down too much. But yeah, the concern for me is, are they going to lean towards the left side with Munster a little bit more if you don't have that thread and Katoa on the right? I don't think so. It is still a chance, but Munster's also getting pretty old himself. It's another year. Father Time is undefeated. I don't know if it hits him this year, but I do think Hughes had such a big impact. The Storm have so many weapons. You got Harry Grant, Munster, no Pappy this year, but Yeah, that's always the concern. Let's have a look, actually. Did Cartel actually miss any games at all? Are we going to be able to check? Let's have a look. No games there. Yeah, he was just fine in that game. 46.6, but he probably averaged about the same. Yeah, so he was a little bit worse in 2023 without Ellie. So a little bit concerning. Maybe take 1 or 2 points off him. But for me, I still love him. I still think he has that 55-point potential with a little bit of upside from there. I don't know. 55 seems reasonable to me. And yeah, he'll be one of the first in my team especially if his price at 45.8. Ponga, I will touch on him quickly. He's going to be such a popular one. I just don't know if you can afford to miss out. He's going to be about 600k. We know the concerns are injuries, HIAs. He's probably the biggest HIA risk in the game. He seems to pick him up once a month. I don't know. I don't have any data to go off that. But yeah, it just seems like he gets them so often, the way he attacks the footy. I don't really care in terms of fantasy. Like, I just don't know if I can afford to miss out on him. Winger fullbacks do seem a little bit tough this year as well. There is a little bit of value. Keanu Kinney was going to be one that was in everyone's team, but I think he's about the same price point off the top of my head, which, yeah, I'm going to go Ponga every day of the week over him. If things go wrong, it's fine. Like, he's going to be close to 50% owned in my eyes. You'd rather go with the pack in that sense. If you're trying to win fantasy, maybe you can go against him. But if you're just trying to get a good rank, top 100, top 1,000, I think you got to go with him, because if he gets those 60s, 70s early, you're going to be so far behind the pack. And I just don't know if you can go without him. You can cover him in other ways, but we just know what he can be. What's 600k? I think the magic number's about 13,000, it looks like, this season. So let's just check off the top of my head, off the top of my calculator, sorry. He's going to be priced at about 46-ish. So it's a little bit extra. He averaged 42.6 last season. It was clearly a down year. They've got Justin Holbrook over there now, new coach. They should have a better product on the field. Ponga's going to be the main beneficiary of that. But yeah, he just has that pedigree. 56.4, 56.6, down year, 53.4, 60.5. If he hits anywhere close to that and you don't have him and 50% of people do, you're going to miss out. So I just think you have to do it. There is risks, absolutely. We all know it. But for such a hot or cold guy, like when the scale is either incredible or injuries, I think you just got to do it if the ownership's high. If he's 5% owned, you can absolutely live without him if you don't like him as an option. But if not, yeah, just go with him for sure. David Fafita is one with far more significant risk. He does have a fresh start. Ignore these graphics, by the way, in terms of the teams. They just don't have the team photos out yet, unfortunately, so we're going with the Titans here. He does have a fresh start at the Rabbitohs, but there is a lot of competition. They've got Ewan Aitken, Tallis Duncan, Cam Murray, I guess, if you want to put him there, Jai Arrow. Both of those guys can play in the middle, and they may well do. But one of them is going to come off the bench. Fafita has already come off the bench like throughout his career. He's potentially the one to do that, but he doesn't need to play 80. He's averaged incredible numbers across this at various points of different seasons, even with 55, 60 minutes. He's such a big try-scoring threat. He doesn't need to play 80, and he won't play 80 in my eyes. But there are so many question marks with him. It's all going to be down to his price. Again, his ownership's going to be sky high, you'd have to think, if he comes in at a reasonable price. So, like, maybe you just have to do it like with Ponga. But this is one that could definitely go wrong, and wrong fast. His role, injuries, motivation, they're all negatives against him, but he does have that boom or bust potential. And I'm inclined to start with him. If the price is right, if the ownership's really high, I'm just going to roll with it, I think. Let's go under 70 minutes, over 50, I guess. Average 40 last season, 55.5 there. And a lot of those games were off the bench. 55.5. I just think you have to do it. If the ownership's high, if the price is right, yeah, the boom or bust is just too scary to avoid. For me, if you have the guts to go against him, fair play, but he'll almost certainly be in my team, to be honest. And then, oh, no. Then the last ones I want to talk about, the guys with keeper upside. Reid Marnie, Dylan Brown, probably fairly obvious ones here. Phoenix Crossland, maybe not so much. Barry Tui, we're going to go down the Barry Tui path again. I don't know. If you were here last season, the Jaden Braley gate, we thought he was going to start, took 2 weeks and then was off. Barry Tui has suggested last season that Phoenix Crossland is going to be their starting lock, which is a lot more appealing than hooker. He has that running game, offloads, tackle breaks, things like that. They're much more appealing at lock than hooker, obviously. He averaged 51.8 at lock last season. Let's have a look. I can't remember off the top of my head how many minutes they were in, but I don't think they were too egregious. Over 40 minutes because he had that lower game. Yeah, 51.8, 73.6 minutes. So I don't think he averages 51.8, obviously. Oh, sorry. Let's go back here. I don't think he averages 51.8, obviously, but I do think there's a chance that he plays 60 plus minutes, 65 minutes. He's sort of one that you won't be able to start in your drafts until team lists come out because their team construction is just going to be so loosey-goosey. Like they have Sandon Smith, Fletcher Sharp. Who else do they get? Dylan Brown. Obviously, Dylan Brown's going to be their half, but Sandon Smith could be in the halves. He could play hooker. Fletcher Sharp could play in the halves, wing, center, fullback. Not fullback with Ponga, but you know what I mean? Like, we just don't know their team construction by any stretch of the imagination at this point. So he's probably one that you won't feature in my team too much until Team List Tuesday. But I want to reserve that cash, like that 40-point player, for him in case he is that starting lock. We'll have to see again, like if that new rule does get changed where it's a 6-man bench, it probably does downgrade his value significantly because he probably won't have the potential to reach a 73-minute guy. But if it looks like he's going to play 60, 65, 70 minutes, I'm actually really excited. He's going to have a full preseason to like learn the ropes at lock. But I guess he does also have that like the, I don't know, what's the word for it? Like the unselfishness. We saw it like Mitch Orbison back in the day. Can't think off the top of my head. I'm so rusty. Bo Fermor, I guess, like guys who can just slot into different positions. Like Fermor goes into center sometimes and his scores significantly reduce. I do think if there's an injury to their hooker, Phoenix Crossland's the first cat off the rank who's going to move positions and go there. We've even seen him play a little bit of halves and stuff like that, and that's going to hurt his value. It does across the course of a season. It might only be 1 or 2 games, but if he only scores a 35, 40 in that, it does significantly downgrade his value. I don't know what the chances are that I start with him. I'll need concrete data to show that he's going to be a big minute lock guy, but if he is, I could see him as a high 40s guy, absolutely, and that's 10 points of value right there. Reid Marnie, the more obvious one here. He's moved to the Cows. Again, ignore this graphic. They just don't have the team photos yet. They have such a lack of hooker depth there that I think they're going to be forced into playing him 70-plus minutes most weeks. Most weeks, maybe every week. And if he is in that role, he has that historical data of being close to a gun. 46.3 last season, which is an 8-point boost. 50.6, 46.8, 46.4, 66.3 at his peak, but we're not expecting that. 56.6. Yeah, like there's so much data there that I think you just got to do it. It is going to be a little bit tough to get hookers this season. Harry Grant seems like he's going to be a reasonable price. We're not going to have Aaron Clark's duel. It was such a tough position last season. I think that is going to be a big boost for him as well. He averaged 46.5 in 60-plus minute games last season. Fresh start at the Cows. He's going to want to solidify his role. He's a bit of a pest. He's going to get those sin mins and stuff like that. But overall, if he's playing 70-plus minutes, it's an absolute no-brainer. He'll be 50-plus% owned. And yeah, I can't really see at this stage any reason why he won't be solidified in that role. Last one for the video, Dylan Brown. He is coming off 2 really poor seasons. I mean, we knew he was getting transferred to the Knights. He signed that massive contract over a year ago now, I believe. That was probably weighing on him last season. Like, I don't know. There was so much backlash. he was never going to be at his best then, unless he like had a massive point to prove. But it didn't seem like he cared too much. The Eels struggled; they missed a lot of Mitch Moses last season. But yeah, that's 2 poor seasons in a row. If you look at it, is it concerning? Like a little bit, yes and no, but there's no real concern at that price. He did play a little bit of center last year and then was benched. It was weird, but averaged 41.5 last season, which is no value at all. 44.3 the season before, but that's when the pedigree comes in. 53.3, 53.7, 51.2, 53.6. I don't really have any concerns that he's going to get back to that point. Even if it's a high 40s guy, that's 10 points of value. Even if it's a mid 40s guy, it's 7 points of value. And it's not great, but it's enough where there's no real downside for him. I can't really see his price changing too much off that 38.5 projection just because he didn't really have injured games, which is where they really like stamp their foot and like adjust the prices organically. But yeah, if it's anywhere sub 40, again, his ownership is going to be sky high. And I just don't think you can go without him. So probably half of these players will start on my team. Half are pretty clear avoids for me. But yeah, they're just guys I thought would be interesting. Just wanted to test out the graphics in this one. Let me know what you think. It's so good to have fantasy back. This video probably isn't the best quality. I'm very rusty. But yeah, it's good to be back into it. So keen for the app to open. Hopefully it is in a week and a half. But until next time, we'll see you next time. Hey, bye.